Well, London's a key setting for my particular picture because it was for a project called Nelson, and it was a big jam graphic novel where there was 54 artists, and it was all based around this one particular character. It was all set in London. When it came to my particular part of the story, we basically took this one character, and it was 1 year, one day of the year of that person's life. Mine was in the kids' 4th year, and I moved them to Dagenham, which is still part of, sort of the London borough of Barkingham, Dagenham, because I grew up in that area as a child, and I wanted to sort of do somewhere very familiar to me, because we moved around a lot as a family when I was young, and I wanted this family to have that little bit of, sort of moving around a bit as well, just to go through the sort of experiences I went through. And so I put it in Dagenham, and I wanted to sort of draw those kind of old the horrible council houses from the 1940s and 50s, and that was it really. That was the main reason I put it there, just to reflect what I went through as a child. So I have stories which I want to tell, but then I think, right, where am I going to put it? And generally it will be London, because that's the area I know. I don't know anywhere else, unless it's dinosaurs, obviously. Dinosaurs didn't grow up in London. But yeah, so the London location is very... you can only write and draw what you know as far as I'm concerned. Comics have been brilliant in this country. In the last sort of 5 or 6 years, they've been really, really growing. And a lot of people have been saying, oh yeah, we've moved on from children's comics. We've evolved from children's comics. And I'm kind of taking that personally. I think, well, you know, we're doing a lot of brilliant stuff in comics as well. My studio mate, Sarah McIntyre, she's a great champion as well for pushing children's comics, and Neil Cameron, who works for Phoenix, and Jamie Smart. So there's a few of us who have these lovely, lovely ideas. We really want to push the idea that children's comics aren't just some small evolutionary step towards brilliant comics. They are brilliant on themselves. I remember I was sitting on the train on the way to the studio, and I saw these 2 big cobwebs, and I thought, what's it like for these 2 spiders living next to each other? So I just saw these conversations start happening in my head, and it's just, I just pick out and spot stuff, and then sometimes even like indirectly, my life comes out in the comic strip, and I don't really realise I'm doing it at the time. And then I look back and I go, oh my God, that's when I broke up with my girlfriend, and then I've got this caterpillar sitting in poo crying. I think, so there's some weird subtext going on. I didn't do it on purpose, but there it is, you know. So the world around me and my own life, it completely inspires. It all comes out in the wash, if you know what I mean. I was doing liner cuts and wood cuts, and I was trying to get illustration work, and getting absolutely nowhere, because it would take you sort of 3 or 4 days to do a particular illustration, and no editor's going to want that really. And but I was always writing and drawing comics, and I would go to all the sort of, there's a particular London comic shop called Gosh, and they will be selling homemade comics by artists, and that really inspired me. And a lot of the comics I read were people's personal stories who were living in London, and I got to know these other cartoonists. So it was great for me socially meeting these other cartoonists. So it was finding that burgeoning London comic scene was a very important stage of my life, actually, my development as a cartoonist. We have our own big Twitter accounts, big Facebook accounts, and the British comic community is there, just there. They're always on Twitter every second of the day. Because when we got our studio together, we were sort of individuals working at home. So you get out of bed, go to your front room, do drawing, probably go back to bed again, and that's a very horrible lifestyle. So we was all chatting about, oh my God, we're so depressed. Every month there's a comic social club meeting, and it started up about 2 years ago, and it was like, oh yeah, 10 people turned up, 12 people. And I went to the last one, and it was just about 150 people or something. It's just crazy. They're all crammed into this place, and they're going to move to another venue, because they just can't get, it's just not enough people, not enough room for the people to get in. So it's wonderful. And then I talked about Nelson, the book, the very pertinent point actually, Nelson, the story which I got in the exhibition, my Nelson story, that was created on Twitter, ostensibly, because it was Rob Davis and Woodrow Phoenix, both Londoners, both on Twitter, both wanting to do like a Best of British kind of anthology, but let's not just do a Best of British, let's do like a story. All worked out on Twitter, chatting away on Twitter, and people going, oh yeah, sounds fun, and it was born out of the community of comics. It's fantastic.